I put in $1.3 million into GameStop in October of 2020. Okay, my cost base was around $13 a share back then. And I held until December of 2020. So I missed the squeeze by a month.
How much would you have made?
Oh my God. I believe $100 would have been, $120 would have been 10 million. So it went up to 420. So probably around 30 to 40 million if I held to the top of the squeeze.
You would have 40x'd.
Yeah.
How often do you think about that?
I don't think about that at all.
Okay.
During those days, I was ecstatic because we were right. You know, the short squeeze and all that kind of stuff. Like the thesis was right. I was celebrating. I was dancing alongside, Roman Kitty every day.
You know what's funny? I actually bought GameStop when it was $3 and something cents a share. I put $5,000 into it because I saw it on Wall Street Bets.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, this sounds funny. I'm just going to do it. And I bought it. I completely forgot about it. And then the whole GameStop stuff happened. And I sold. I think it was right after Robinhood disabled the trading. And I was like, oh man, this is going to kill the momentum.
Right.
And immediately it started falling. And then I remember, I think I went to you and I'm like, dude, Jack, should I sell? And it had turned into over like 150 grand, I think at the time, from a $5,000 investment. And I sold. And I was so happy that I didn't quite get the peak, but to be able to get that price for that, that was a Hail Mary just for fun.
Profit is profit.
Profit is profit.
Yeah.
So why do so many people miss these signals?
I don't know. Psychologically, I've always been curious why some people get married to the stock. That's another one of my principles. Like, never get married to a stock, right? Like, there are people who are just they made their money on Tesla. They made their money on Bitcoin. Now with memory stocks, right? Like SanDisk and MU, and they're just like obsessed with it or holding about it. Oh, that's all they talk about. And I don't get it. If you're an investor, you don't care about the short-term movements at all, and you'll just kind of ride it for 10, 20, 30 years. If you're thinking about the stock, you're essentially thinking like, should I sell, right? And so you should be okay with selling.
What would you say are the shortcomings that a lot of investors fall into?
They play with margin. Like, you could play this game for a very long time as long as you're responsible and take profit and minimize your losses, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're up 20%, maybe take some more risk. If you're down 20%, maybe play a little more conservatively or add money back to it. I think when people go on margin, when people go on full tilt, right, and trying to make that gain back as much as possible, that's when they lose it all.
And so what do you think about Chris Camillo? I'm sure you're very familiar with who he is. He fully endorses margin. And if anything, he looked at my portfolio and was like, if I could critique anything, I think you should have a little bit more margin.
That's extreme conviction. I wonder if he has always had that view, especially when he was just starting out, or that's now when he has much more of a cushion, right, to maybe take a blow from margin. You have to be patient, right? Like, this is also like a patient man's game in order to be happy with 20% swings, 20% swings versus like, oh, it could have been 40% or something like that. I think the math is like you only need like 4 20% swings for a double, right? And I think that's very possible if you find a good stocks.
I'm curious, by winning $1 million in the stock market in one day and then losing $1 million the following day, what does this do to your mental?
Oh my God.
Like, how does this affect your nights when you're trying to sleep, or just like the overall gravity of daily existence?
To be honest, it happened so fast, it didn't quite register, And
like the million that you'd made had not quite settled yet.
Exactly.
And so it didn't feel like your net worth increased by $1 million.
I think also psychologically, it's very different than losing $1 million. Right, first, or from your cost basis, right? Like, I gained $1 million and then it disappeared, right? So I think that's why I also prioritize like entry price a lot. That's again back to like my don't chase rule, right? Like, if you bought a stock and it went up 20% and then went back down 20%, that you could hold that a lot better psychologically than if you bought something at the top and just dropped the next day.
Now, in terms of getting started, though, back in 2017. Weren't you able to turn $8,000 into $300,000 with cryptocurrency?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you lost it down to $35,000.
Yeah. So I call this like paying tuition. This was all in crypto, right? And this is kind of where I learned everything, I guess. I mean, I've been aware of Bitcoin for a long time. I learned about it in college. I had some friends that were doing mining and stuff like that. So I kind of missed that kind of 2012 or 2013 bubble for Bitcoin. But when I learned about Ethereum in 2016, I went all in with everything I had at the time, which was only $8,000 from like working.
How much were you making at that time during 2016, 2017?
Not even that much. Like, I did a startup between 2013 and 15. That didn't go anywhere. Then I started my first, big boy job at Stripe. I was a software engineer over there. And there still are private startups that are only paying me like $150K.
And so how did you only have $8,000 though after like?
I only started working there. Like,
it was just,
I just started working. Yeah. So I had only $8K, and then Ethereum was, I think, maybe $16 or something like that. And so I just decided to go all in that. And then Ethereum went up to 100 pretty quickly. And so now I'm sitting at like, 30 or 50K. And then this was like ICO mania. There were so many, random altcoins taking off. And so I was actually doing the exact same style. I was going all in, one random coin at a time. Back then, there was a lot more sentiment based because, these coins really don't have any fundamental value. So it's just like whatever the next hot one is, has a funny story. And so, that 2017 run brought me all the way to 300K. And then 2018 happened and I lost it all. But unfortunately owed taxes on the realized gains from 2017. So the way the counter math works out, it could really, really hit you. And yeah, that was a hard lesson. And that also why I've never touched crypto ever since.
You owed how much in taxes?
Probably around 150K.
How did you owe 150K when you brought it down to 30K though?
Oh, that happened in 2018, right? So the top was December of 2017. And so I was, trading all the time, right? So all the capital gains got realized in 2017.
You would think that you should be able to use losses of the next year to offset the prior.
You would think, right?
Right?
Yeah, but you're only allowed to maximize 3,000 or 3,000. You can offset your income by 3,000 for that, right? I mean, this was also the early days of crypto and taxes, and I just wanted to do everything by the books.
So after having this crazy run up and then crash in your crypto account, a few years later, you finally decide that you want to start investing in equities and stocks in your 401k. You started with $35,000. Let's talk about a few of the specific trades that you did to take your account up to like 8 million, now at $10, $11 million. And what did you learn from these trades? The first trade that you made was what company?
It was called 𝗪𝗡𝗡𝗘, APT. They made face masks and they were based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And again, this was like back in the early COVID days, right? Where people were just like learning about it. The pandemic, the shutdown, the lockdown didn't quite happen yet. And so the thesis was really simple, like American-made face masks. That should be a big thing, right? And so that brought me from 35K to 90K. And I was like, oh, wow, that happened fast. And then in a similar vein, the next stock was CODX, Co-Diagnostics, PCR testing, because the nose swabs, remember that? Right? So they were building that and they were signing up all these contracts, all these states. I'm like, oh, they should have good earnings. And so I rode that for like a 2X. So now all of a sudden 90 turned into 180. And then we were approaching the summertime now, and Norwegian Cruise Lines had like absolutely got tanked. It was down like 80%, basically priced for bankruptcy, right? And there was like a rumor, I was like in all these like Facebook groups for like cruise moms and stuff. They were like buying like all these like on sale items that, cruise lines are not going to go under. CEC was like maybe going to lift the ban on them, whatever. And so again, that's hope, right? There's a story, there's a potential catalyst. And I got lucky and I caught the bounce perfectly. And so I caught like a 60% bounce, and now all of a sudden like 180 turned into like, 250, 300. And I just kept doing that. I got a dog and Chewy. I learned about Chewy, right? And like, a lot of people got dogs. So like e-commerce, dogs, perfect, right? And that was maybe like a 25% pop. So I just kept doing this.
And most people think forming an LLC is just about filling out one form and calling it a day, but there's a lot more to it than that. And if you skip the rest, your LLC isn't really set up the way it needs to be. That is why we have partnered with Northwest Registered Agent.
For $39 plus state fees, Northwest handles the state filing and makes sure you have everything you actually need: your operating agreement, membership certificates, and banking resolutions.
Without those documents, you might be registered with the state, but you're not really ready to operate because banks, vendors, and partners expect to see them.
Plus, you get a free domain, website, email, and phone number when you file your LLC through Northwest, which means your business is ready to operate right away.
And your home address never goes on the public record. Northwest uses their own address on your filing instead of yours.
So if you want your LLC done right the first time, just go to northwestregisteredagent.com/ICH to get started.
It's northwestregisteredagent.com/ICH or click the link down below in the description to get your LLC filed.
Thank you, Northwest Registered Agent, for sponsoring this episode.